Hello there, it's my mate Vince here, and welcome to part 24 of trying to fix up the cheapest Rolls Royce in the country. Now, this is a kind of continuation of part 23, but if you haven't watched it, it doesn't really matter. In part 23, I started to connect up the radio, and surprise, surprise, the electric aerial, the antenna, wasn't working, so I fixed that one up in that video there. Where we are at the moment is the radio will come to life, but I haven't got anything connected to it, because annoyingly, I bought a Rolls Royce radio off eBay, but it's for a different model year. I thought it may be the same because the connections look the same, but they're not the same. So I'm having to kind of work everything out from scratch, and then I'm going to have to connect everything up from scratch. It's not a plug and play thing. So that's what we're going to be doing in this episode here. So I'm just going to pick up just to show you the electric aerial working. This was the end of the last video, and let's get straight into this one.
Excellent. Right, now let's see if it works when you just turn the ignition off. Yay, there it goes. Result. I'm well happy with that. Brilliant news. Right, okay. I think what I'm going to do now is, I was getting all worried yesterday about the, this weird DIN connector, the round connector down here. But looking online last night, very little information, because the problem is it's too old, isn't it? And if this was in the last 5-10 years, there'd be loads of YouTube videos and stuff about it. But when I look here, basically, there was just one site where it said that the input here was the low input and this was the high input. Now, I don't really know what that means, but I presume it means when you're talking about audio stuff, let's say if you have a record player, that will be a low input, so it needs to go through an amp. But then if you have things like tapes and stuff, I think some of them have like high inputs on the output, so you need to be careful where you're plugging them in. I don't think this here has anything to do with the speakers. I think this might be more to do with, for example, if you wanted a CD player connected or a phone or something connected. So I'm not going to worry about that DIN connector. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wires out from the back of here. So we know now that I've got the wires correctly done here. The only thing I'm not sure about is we've got one empty wire here, and I reckon this might be something to do with the dimming. I don't even know if the dimming's working on this, so I'm not worried about the dimming today. I'm going to wire these up permanently now, and then I'm going to take the speakers out of here because we already have this one connected here and I have it all lined up here. Yeah, so I'm going to take the speakers out of here and I'm going to connect them to I'm connecting them to here, and then I'm connecting these ones here to the output here. So basically it's going to go from here into the amp and from the amp into the speakers, and I'm hoping then that will be job done. Now I'm not going to film all of that because it's going to take me absolutely ages to do. I'm going to have to be cutting and splicing and putting connections on the wires. I'm probably just going to use spade and spade terminals, or I might be using Wagos on some of the bits like electrical connectors. I'm not too sure yet, but that's what I'm going to be working on now. So hopefully when you see it at the end, we will actually be able to get some sound out. Now all of my speakers are done in, but I'm hoping they will give some kind of vibration, and then maybe in another episode we can worry about getting new ones or trying to re-foam these ones if that's possible. Re-rubber, re-foam, I don't know what it's called. But anyway, so far I think I'm pretty happy with how things are going now. Okay, I'll just update you as I go along if I find anything interesting. Now, I had a look on Wikipedia for speaker wire colours, and there is a standard. So you can see there, front right speaker's grey, and then we have white, purple is rear right, green is left. Now, obviously I don't know at this moment in time whether that corresponds to my ones, but the Rolls Royce wiring is different. But to be fair, I can probably just look at the workshop guide and I'll probably find it there. But look, whoever did all this wiring here has used green, grey, white and purple, which are the same colours as here. So if they've gone to the bother of using that, I'm sure they've wired it up correctly. So I now know which colours the Rolls Royce wiring is. So you can see I've marked it up on the Rolls Royce side of things, which is a different colour code. Rear right, left front, rear right front, and left rear. And also what I can do is, again, I'm just going to pop this one off here, and then I can double check with continuity to see where it comes up. If this one here comes up on right front, then I know that that's going to be chances are it's going to be correct. So yeah, that's made my job a lot easier. And sorry, one more thing, can you see here? Antenna blue, and if you have a look, the blue wire coming out here goes on to, it's crimped onto a green and black, and the green and black is the one that is the antenna, because look, I marked that up yesterday, aerial. So yeah, thank God for colour codes. Just a quick update to fill you in as I go along. So basically we already had proper connections going to the amp, didn't we? Ones that ended in these ones here. So as far as I can see, and I hope I'm not wrong, the permanent wiring in the car goes from the speakers to the amp. So what's the point of having them on spade connections and stuff like that? I want it to be a continuous wire, so it's going to be better. So what I've done is I've got rid of the old connection that was here, and I've got rid of all the old wiring that was done by, let's just call it an audio shop. Yeah, and I'm now just got Rolls Royce wiring to Rolls Royce wiring via just splicing the wires. So I've just cut them back, stripped them around each other, and I put a tiny bit of solder on, and now you can see I'm just putting heat sinks on those bits there. So I'm doing red for the positive of the speaker and green for the ground, and yeah, that there is going to be permanent. So then I have to feed all that wiring up into the back here where the amp's going to go. And then what I have to do is I have to then think about the wiring from the radio, but this side I need it to be removable, so I can't just solder it on, because then they're going to have a nightmare, me or someone else in the future, changing out that radio. So yeah, that's where we are at the moment, but yeah, I'm quite happy with progress. Right, okay, so they're all connected and I've labelled them all up nicely now, and they're going up to here. So I've got that to here, I've got the power to the amp to here. Now what I'm working on is the connection from the radio to the amp. So with the amp I'm going to have to use spade terminals, these are just the covers here. And what I'm doing is, I'm thinking, well, what's the point in having connectors here and here? There's just more room for failure in the future. So what I'm doing is I am basically just soldering the wires on again here, and then this side here I'm going to cut them here and then put the spade terminals on to go direct into here. So then basically it can be unplugged from the radio here, and if the amp ever needs to be changed, it can be unplugged from the amp via the spade connections. So again, I think it's a permanent but yet a job where you can get access to things again in the future. Okay, so I've shrinked up that side there. This cable is just like really flexible speaker wire, so it's not the same as the Rolls Royce cable, but this is what the radio came with, and it's nice and thick, so it should be fine. And also there's a lot of flex to it, which is quite nice to work with. So I'm just finished this bit here now, I just need to put the sleeves up. So basically, on the amplifier, we have the positive going to each of these corners here, which is, for example, you know, left front, right front, etc. But the grounds, the negatives, are shared. So 2 wires need to go to this one, and 2 wires need to go to this one in the middle, yeah? And then 1 wire to each of them. So what I've done is I've used slightly smaller spade terminals for the middle because the contacts are smaller. And I've shared the fronts together, so left front and right front, and I've shared the rears together. And now you can see here what I've done. I've basically crimped it on, but I've flooded it with solder as well, so it's crimped and soldered. And now I'm just sliding the little covers on here, so when they go in here there's no risk of the side of the spade shorting against the body of it here, because it's got the sleeve on it. So I think that's going to be quite a nice job, and it should be long lasting because it's all soldered on. So yeah, I'm just going to slide those all up, and then I think we're getting close to testing. I now need to worry about the radio side of things, like the live, switch live, and also the aerial. Well, I've decided to insulate the negative as well, because I think I read last night that all the speakers have to have a floating ground, so they can be connected up to each other, like the negatives can be connected up, but they can't be in contact. Well, it said a floating ground, so I presume that means it can't be in contact with the bodywork. So this is going to be in contact with the bodywork because it's screwed on to the you know, the dashboard. So I've just put a little sleeve around that there. I've just cut one short and stretched it over, and now if it does wobble, because I've got solder on it so it's fatter than normal, if it does wobble it's not going to short against here. Okay, I'm ready for testing, just in a minute or so I just want to connect up the last few, and then I'll explain what's what.
And while I'm struggling on these last few connectors, let's give a shout out to that group of greatness which is known as the My Mate That's Massive. This month the members are kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokotansky, Having Fun Repairs, Will Michaelis, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeeves.com, DJ VG, Ellis Garbett, Pixie, Kenneth Blenstrop Sorensen, Gabe McCandless, Extreme 401, Robert from Timsey's Auto Air, Daniel Watson, and Zeeks C. Those guys there are the top level Patreons, and it means that videos like these don't have to do quite so well on YouTube before you start crying into your cornflakes. Anyway, we're ready now to show you what's what.
In you get. There we go. Right, that's plugged in there. So basically, my earth wire's come off. The only wire I haven't done at the moment is my earth wire, and it's causing me a lot of problems. I'll tell you what, let me extend that so then I don't have to have everything balanced so precariously. Right, okay, so I've just temporarily just extended that earth wire down here. So everything is done. Obviously, it's not fitted apart from the earth wire. I'm not sure about this earth wire, because does the earth wire need to go to the floating earth or to the earth of the car? I'm thinking it needs to go to the earth of the car because it's power related rather than speaker related, but I'm not too sure. Anyway, right now I've put it to the earth of the car because that's what we were doing yesterday. So you can see it's all labelled up now. Permanent live, I've got my aerial there, I've got my switch live there, I've got all my ones insulated and done here. These are all insulated going into the back there, and then all these are crimped and not crimped, soldered and heat shrinked down there. So I think we are ready to go. Let me just do the battery. Okay, radio is off. I'm really apprehensive. I think it's because I haven't run it through the amp before, and now I've got all the speakers connected up, so I hope it doesn't go pop. Right, turn it on there. Good news is radio's not on. Aerial is not up. I can't hear it. Here goes. Right, aerial's coming up. We don't have any power on the amp though. Why have we got no power on the amp? There's no static coming through. Oh. Why is there no power on the amp? Is it because you need to have this thing? Does this thing actually need power? That's supposed to be for the low input. Why is there no power on this amp? Oh, I know why. This isn't grounded. I haven't grounded this side. Right, let me, you know, the black wire here is not grounded, so no power's getting to the amp. Let's turn everything off and let me ground this black one, and now let's see if it comes alive. Right, all I've done is the black wire from the power for the amp goes down this cable here, and it comes onto this little clamp here. Now I haven't screwed it on, bolted it on, I've just got it rested there. But if you have a listen now, if I put one of my leads to the dashboard and the other one to the radio, you can now hear that we have continuity. So that radio should now be grounded. Here goes. Let's make sure it's off. Yes. Come on now. Give me static. There it goes. Come on. Still got no power to the amp. Radio's on, but no power to the amp. Well, unfortunately I can't see any fuse, and what I did is the battery's off at the moment, but I did actually go onto those two prongs, and I definitely have 12 volts coming into it. I've taken the bottom cover off as well, and I can't see anything wrong with it. But what I did do is I went across that little LED on diode mode. Now maybe it's different here because maybe it needs 12 volts before it lights up, but I went across it on diode mode. Normally that lights up an LED, and it didn't in this case. I wonder if I can power this with 12 volts at home and see what we get. You know, I can even put a signal into here, can't I? Yellow mat, kill it with fire! Okay, so I did end that part of the video there. I'm back home now on the mat. And looking inside here, I couldn't find anything wrong. Took off the bottom, everything looks perfect. And you know what? I'm quite embarrassed, but it's something really obvious. So have a look at the symbols here. I can't see the symbols, I can just see yellow. We have a ground here, which is connected. We have a 12 volts, which is connected. But look,
this is the switch, isn't it? This is the switch to turn it on. So basically, I need to find out what it is on the radio that powers this on when the radio comes on. Or maybe I just need to go onto the switched live, because then when the radio turns on, this will turn on. Or maybe I could connect it to the aerial, possibly. But anyway, look at this. Let me just try to connect this up here. My bench power supply is off at the moment. So I'm going to connect this to here. And I'm just going to put the live to both of these. Basically, when you put the live to this switch one here, in fact, I'll show you it now, you will hear that it will start, the relay on the inside will start tapping, right? So this is 12 volts here on this one, and if I tap it here, do you hear that? Yeah, and now if I was to gently short this between both of them, this is going to be a bit awkward, but let me try it. There, can you see now? Light on, yeah? So that's just a switch, and now hit both of them and the light's on. So that's why it wasn't turning on, because I wasn't telling it to turn on. Really quite embarrassing, but you know, I do show my faults and failures in the video because other people would have also made that mistake. And when you go through it, you then know. If somebody was next to me and if they just said, yeah, you need to put that one as a switch wire, it would go into my head and straight out again. I'll never forget that now because I've spent time on it. So sometimes it's worth doing things yourself and for things to go wrong, because then you understand them more in the future. So yeah, I now need to find out. What kind of confused me is when I took this off the car, these were all connected. This was connected here. There was nothing on here, but obviously originally there was some wire connected here. So I just need to find out now where that's coming from. Easier said than done.
Okay, so next day now, and I'm going to connect this up here. So obviously we need to find something that will provide 12 volts with this when the car stereo is on. Now I was thinking worst case scenario, maybe I could go onto the power antenna, because the thing is, I can't just connect it to a 12 volt live because this will be on all the time and it's going to drain your battery down. If I have it connected to the ignition, because you know the switch live one, wherever that is, one of these ones here, then it means every time the car's running, this is going to be on, even with the radio off. So we only want this live when the radio is on. And I looked online, and a standard wire code for a remote on for your amp is a blue wire with white stripes. And that's exactly what we have here coming out of the radio, a blue wire with white stripes. Now, check this out. If I get my meter here, and if I go to volts DC, you will see now, if I tap it on this, sorry, trying to do this one-handed. If I tap it on this, you will see that we have no voltage. Yeah. Now, let's turn the ignition on and tap it again, and you will still see we have no voltage. But now, if I turn the radio on, so radio's on now, tap it here, check it out, we now have voltage, 10.8 volts, so that's going to be enough to turn this on. I presume my battery's starting to get flat. And there's another interesting thing. So we also have something called Illumination on this, and what it will do is it will dim the display here when your lights are on, because when your lights are on, you don't want something gleaming down here nice and bright, because it might distract you when driving. So there should be a wire that allows you to dim this. Now, apparently it's quite common for that to be the orange one. Now, I'm not saying it's the orange one on this one, but out of all the wires here, they all seem to be going somewhere apart from the blue and the orange. So I think it must be the orange. Now, the problem is, how do I find it on the Rolls Royce? Well, we do have one here, and this is the one that I thought might be to do with the illumination wire. Now, check this out. Right now, we still have our radio on. You can see that we have the light in here. If I was to go in here, let's try to balance that. In here, there we go. Now watch this, no voltage, yes, but now look, turn the lights on, boom boom, and look what happens, we have voltage, 7 volts. Let's see if that increases when we do this thing here. Does it change when I turn this knob? No, is that the battery draining? Let's go back up. No, it's going back up. Wow, so it looks like the panel dim might actually work. Fantastic. Let's put it right the way down. So what are we at now? 6 point. Let's put it right the way down. My battery, I think, is starting to get very low. And now it's gone up to 7 when I go that way. Oh, maybe when you turn it up, it gets dimmer. Would that be it? Maybe. I don't know if that's my battery going down. But anyway, I think that must be it. So let's turn this all off a second. There we go. So I am going to connect up the orange wire to this one here, and I'm going to connect up the blue wire to the amp switch, which is this one here. So I need to put a little spade connector on the end of a long wire and just use a I'm going to use spade terminals like I did here, solder them all up so it's a nice proper job, and I now think this is going to be working. Well, we're ready for the big turn on. So I have now got the remote on wire to the amp connected. I haven't connected up this wire yet because I know, for example, the wiring on the Rolls Royce is for the Illumination dim, but I don't actually know that the radio is. So once I kind of get it working, I'll measure. If there's 12 volts here, I'm definitely not connecting it to there. But if there's nothing here, then I'll probably will do it. Worst case scenario, if it does go bang, I might be able to trace the wire on the inside, and I might be able to fix the radio in another episode if that does go bang, but I'm hoping it won't. Right, here goes. So we're going to turn it on, and now turn it on here. Right, why is my amp still not lighting up? Why is that amp still not lighting up? Well, I'm such an idiot. This is the same thing I had yesterday. Do you remember here? It needs to be grounded, doesn't it? So I need to put my little wire, where's it gone? I need to put this back onto here, and that should now ground the 12 volts. So we'll have 12 volts on here, you know, the little thing here. Right, now, this time, is it going to work? On. Come on now. Brilliant, it's here. We've got a red light. Oh, listen to that. Brilliant, I can hear static. Let's see if we can get something tuned in. Can't see what I'm doing. There we go. Fantastic. Right, so what I have to do now is I've got to disconnect these at the back and see if I can work out if they're corresponding to the correct speakers. But listen to that. Fantastic. And the best anthems of all time. Let's see if this is going to give us something. Come on, look at that red light. How nice is that? Here we go. Excellent. Right, well, considering that the speakers are all blown there, it sounds okay. Right, I'm going to mess around with the back here and then I'll finish up the video. Oh, I'm so happy I've even got the Illumination wire connected and I can see the light go dim on the radio when I look through the back casing. So, aerial is now working perfectly. That there, I don't know why I like it so much. I think it's because it's so silent when it moves up or down. It's just clean. Oh, so nice. But check this out now. I've gone through everyone at the back here and every single one corresponds. So if it says rear right, it does correspond to rear right. So right now I've got it connected up and every speaker is working where it should be because I unplugged all of these and I plugged in one at a time and every single one livened up where it's supposed to. So that is fantastic news. Right now everything here is doing what it's supposed to do. Check this out. There's a little bulb in here somewhere. So I'm going to turn the ignition on. Let's just quickly show you the aerial move up. I love it. It's so nice. Hold on, turn the radio on. I'm so happy. I've learned so much about radios in this. Look at that. That is so good. And it got louder when the aerial went up. I'm amazed the speakers are actually working. Well, I've got to lower it down because of copyright. But if you look here, right, you see the bulb here. You can see a light at the back here. I'm now going to turn these ones on here. So I'm just going to swap hands a second. And I'll tell you when I'm turning it on, you will see it will go dim. So watch this. I'm turning it on halfway now. Boom. Did you see that go down? And now I'm turning it on the next one. There. I'm sure it's went down a little bit again. And back on full. I hope you can see that. Ready? There. Can you see it dim? and off. Fantastic. And these are still working up here. You can see there and there as well. Amazing. I'm so happy with that. So turn it off and the area will go down. Oh, honestly, so good, because to begin with, I have messed around with radios in the past, like on my old Minis and MGs and stuff, but not to this extent. And I feel now as if I've just learned so much about the amp, about the illumination wire. Oh, it's just really good. So if in the future I wanted to swap this out for something fancy that did the, Apple car, whatever it is, the ones that come out on the screen, so it looks like old-fashioned, but then the screen comes out and flips up, I would feel confident doing that now because I know about all the wiring. So there's no point in me putting this back here yet, because I still probably have to do other work here, behind here and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm really happy with how things have turned out in this video. I really enjoyed that video there, more than I thought I would do. I thought the radio might be quite boring, but yeah, I feel like I've learned so much, so it's really good. But I haven't enjoyed it quite as much as I enjoyed reading the comments on the video with the honest fault, where I did 4 different things. Oh my, it's hilarious. Please read the comments on that one, because it's all about the blue mat and the yellow mat. Boo! Yay! Boo! Why does everybody hate it so much? I like it. A lot of people are saying it's dark though, it makes things darker. So I just want to see that now. That there. And that there. Yes, weird. See, I would have thought it would have made things stand out more. But yeah, the masses have said that it makes things darker. So it looks like the blue mat's going to be back in action. But you will have to persevere with the yellow mat for a few more episodes, because of course I have so many episodes done in advance. What you see now might have been filmed like 3 or 4 weeks ago, depending on what I do. Sometimes I release a video a few days after filming it. Sometimes it can be like a couple of months. So yeah, you will see this more. Such a shame. I think I will drag it out every now and then, because personally I do like it. But look, if it's giving people headaches and stuff, just the comments were just hilarious. So some people said they felt nausea. Some people said that they were getting headaches. They thought they just had a headache coming on until they stopped watching the video, and then the headaches went away. The best one was one viewer said that after watching the video with my yellow mat, he looked around and all his walls were pink. And I presume his walls wasn't pink before watching the video. So yeah, it made me, I don't know why I enjoyed reading the comments so much. I just found them hilarious. Long live the yellow mat and all that. But yeah, look, if people want the blue mat, then I've still got it. So mate, yeah, do you know what? My eyes are suddenly soothed. Isn't that weird? I fancy the change, but yeah, I suppose that is more calming rather than that one. But maybe this one's better for energy saving, because it's brightened up the whole room. I don't need to have as many lights on. It's probably brightened up your room that you're watching the video in, so you don't need. So I'm doing my bit for the environment, not by having a 6.75 litre Rolls Royce, but by having a yellow mat. This could be the thing that would solve the energy crisis. Just bring this around the place with you. Oh, well, look. That's it for this video. My mate Vince has managed to do a video under 30 minutes, which is the first time I've managed to do a Rolls Royce one under 30 in quite some time. So yeah, plenty more coming up. I'm going to be tackling suspensions, speakers. There's loads of stuff coming up. So yeah, keep watching. I hope you're still enjoying it, and I will see you in another episode, whether that's on the blue, yellow or Rolls Royce, very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.
I was old, I was young, I was sitting in the sun, I was tired of the run, I was done. Life was great, life was hard, in a way an awful card. You can't win the losing hand. But the rain stopped falling and the line on the floor was crossed, and the pain I'd been feeling washed away to return another day. I was cold, I was bold, I had fragmented my soul into pieces contradicting themselves.